As last week we were talking about how the current state of humanity is that we are humans here living on the planet Earth, have an ego, and learning to manage that ego is what this book is all about.
Yes, and going beyond ego. At the same time means going beyond what the Buddha described as the normal human condition, which is one of suffering. Because ultimately the ego, sooner or later, and usually sooner, always produces some form of suffering. So it's really transcending the ego, going beyond the ego, at the same time means going beyond this unconscious urge to generate more and more suffering, both in people's personal lives as well as collectively.
Well, we did something. Said it's never been done before on television, where you just sit there in silence. And I thought a lot of people responded to the sense of connection from that. So
air flows in and out, and you feel yourself breathing. Air flows in and out of the body. And so as we
I love the idea that we're all literally on the same page. Everybody, page 59, the core of the ego. Most people are so completely identified with the voice in the head, the incessant stream of involuntary and compulsive thinking, and the emotions that accompany it, that we may describe them as being possessed by their mind. My question to you, if we are not that constant stream of thinking, then who are we?
Now, that question usually would be answered by the mind by giving some kind of concept of who we are. Now,
yes, I am female,
this,
that, I'm African American, yes. I work on TV.
Now, when you ask, who are we beyond that, there is no conceptual answer to that. No conceptual answer would be absolutely correct. We can give little hints. We can say, we are the formless consciousness behind all that. We are that which cannot be defined through concepts or words. So knowing who you are does not mean that suddenly you have some new idea in your head and say, oh, now let me tell you who I am. I've discovered who I am. You get closer to knowing who you are if you come to a stage where you have that feeling, and I mention it in the book.
We obviously need it, otherwise why would we have it? Why wouldn't we have evolved past it?
We're doing that now. So it's been a stage in the evolution of consciousness, a necessary stage in the evolution of consciousness.
For survival?
Yes, yes.
Because?
The ego arose because we started to think. So the ability in humans, suddenly humans developed the ability to differentiate and to think. To me, the beginning of the Old Testament really describes the beginning of the ability to think, because what it says in the Old Testament is they ate of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, the ability to say this is good, this is bad, to differentiate, starting to think. So the ability to think arose in our species, which was a wonderful thing on the one hand, but over many, many millennia, hundreds of thousands of years, more and more our original sense of connectedness with life and with being, which the natural world still has, animals still have that. They live in a state of natural
and some cultures did.
A sense of being rooted, being comfortable in your own skin, being rooted deeply within, and feel that sense of oneness with the totality of life, oneness with life itself. And so humanity had that once, and as you say, some ancient cultures, perhaps there's still remnants of ancient cultures, and they still have that. But humans, as they went into more and more thinking and differentiation, they gradually, their sense of self gradually moved from the center of their being, which I would describe as their heart or the solar plexus, into their mind.
Into their mind.
And they more and more, they began to identify with the movement of thought. And gradually, out of this continuous identification with the movement of thought, a thought-made entity was produced, which is the ego.
So you believe what happens to us at death when the body dies? You don't have a belief.
I don't give it any thought. The life is always invisible, and the life ultimately has no form itself. You are the awareness, you are consciousness, appearing as a person for a little while, but in essence, you are consciousness, and consciousness is, as consciousness, you are timeless.